I'm Small Engine Mechanic Mike, and I know I haven't been making a lot of videos lately, but if I still have anybody watching out there, we're at the Black River and Western Railroad 2nd Annual Railfest. I've got the Bessemer engine here that I've been making some videos on over the past few years. It's getting close to being completely done, and I just thought this would be a good time to do a little update on the progress and give a startup video and show you the operation. So, I guess starting off, the most obvious thing that's different is the screen cooler here that I just finished. This water tank for cooling water has always been here, but it used to be just a pipe that spit right back and circulated to the tank. But now we actually are pumping the water up and letting the water run over the screen to radiate heat. And that's very effective, as I found out yesterday. So the engine runs at a good temperature. So that was a good addition. It makes it look period correct because this is a technology that would have been used around the turn of the last century when this engine was built. So, come over here. I'm sure some people may have seen the generator, the generator is now complete, installed on the unit. So the generator is from the same era as the engine. They were never a pair originally, but this is one possible configuration for the engine back in the day. So it's a 3,000 watt DC generator. The control panel here is all pieced together. I built that last year, just to look the part. I mean, all the equipment here is old stuff that I just find here and there and happen to make a good display. And then I got some load over there, just some 200 watt light bulbs, a little knife switch, so we can actually hear the engine run under a little bit of load. It runs much better with the load on it. So, other than that, it took a lot of work to get this engine to where it is now, and it's still not quite there. We discovered an issue yesterday where I'm having difficulty keeping the generator drive belt on the engine pulley. Take a walk around there. So, what we have is the generator being driven here with this belt on the engine flywheel. And when you use a flat belt system, crowned pulleys, which means that there's a little raised area in the center of the pulley, helps keep the belts square and in line. There's a bit of a crown on the generator pulley, but it's pretty well worn. So it's a little tricky right now to keep the belt lined up. And I don't know exactly what I'm going to do to put a crown on the engine pulley. I don't want to machine the original flywheel, but I'll come up with something. But we can show you pulling a little load today. Too much load and the belt will walk right off. So we'll just get enough load to make it work. And then we got a water pump down here for our cooling water. A drip oiler here for the cylinder and the connecting rod bearing. The main bearings are grease lubricated. It's running on gasoline right now. So let's go ahead and go through the starting procedure here. We got oil in the oiler. Really, right now, the only thing we need to do is prime the fuel injector, they call it, or the fuel feeder. It's not a carburetor. It's an interesting design. Something unique to the Bessemer engine company. So we'll just add a little bit of gasoline in there. Okay. Now the main fuel tank is down here under the cart. So it may take a couple seconds for the thing to actually pull fuel from the base, and it may stall initially. We might have to prime it twice, but after the second prime, it'll take off and it'll run on its own. So we're gonna start it, get the speed adjusted about right. Then we're gonna close the field on the generator and start making electricity. See how it runs, then we can put a load on it. So go ahead and do that. Turn our oiler on. Here. These are the valves here, one for the cylinder, one for the connecting rod. We'll open the fuel supply needle from the tank and retard the ignition timing here for starting. So what we have, let me turn this off and explain this, is a high tension magneto driving a spark plug, and when you retard the timing, there's this little catch pawl that you release and it drops down. We're at a railroad, so yeah, don't mind that. So when I spin the engine over, you can see this pawl drop down right to that low spot there. See that? And what that's going to do is that's going to hold the magneto back. Can you see that right there? And it's going to wind that spring. It's going to wind that spring. It's going to keep rotating, and that catch is going to release, and it's going to snap the magneto, so I get a good hot spark on startup. So without further me talking, that's down. Open the fuel valve. We'll go a half a turn. Oh, watch out there, cameraman. The crank handle flips out. Crank her over. Almost. I don't know if you can see, but that handle doesn't snap back on its own on the flywheel. So you got to take your old piece of wood here and just move that back in so it doesn't rip your guts out. So we're burning a little rich here. We're not quite firing right. Let's let it warm up a little bit. Got water flow here. See the water kind of running down the screen, running back into the reservoir. I'm going to lean it out a little bit. It should have sucked the prime by now. Once the engine reaches operating temperature, it'll burn much cleaner. I'm going to let it speed up a little bit. Now we're ready to start making power. So I'll come over here to the generator. The field rheostat is turned all the way down. Watch the voltmeter here when I close the field switch here. See it raise up a little bit? So now we'll decrease the field resistance and bring the voltage up. You'll hear the generator whine. Can you hear that? So now we're making power. Going to speed the engine up a little bit more. We're ready to close the load here. Can you hear the engine pick up a little bit? It's firing a bit more often. We got some current showing on the amp meter. We're pulling about 3 amps of current at about 90 volts, 100 volts. We can turn the field resistance down a little bit more and bring that up a bit. Hear the engine working? Bump, 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 bump. So like I said, right now we got about 600 watts of load on the unit. The generator is capable of so much more, of 3,000 watts. But the belt issue with the walking belt is really limiting the amount of load we can put on it. So now we're burning quite a bit cleaner, now that we're getting some heat in the engine. It's firing at a nice even rate. That's the Bessemer. That'll run all day and be happy as a clam. Thanks for tuning in.